Hello everyone, welcome to Amrita's monthly current affairs series, and we are discussing the second part of our June month. In the first session, we have seen the biodiversity discussion. We have seen a few concepts, international framework, the national framework. Then we have discussed a few questions. In this, we'll discuss some miscellaneous stuff. Starting with the sixth mass extinction. So you see, you have all know the modus operandi, right? So in the environment, majority of the questions will be one-liner in that sense, unless until they are just like the questions we have discussed, if they are very important. But for example, what is sixth mass extension, in which context it is being discussed, that type of question are being important. So till now, we have experienced 5 mass extinctions, right? What is mass extinction? That means substantial decrease in the degree of the earth loses a 3/4 of the species. That is the criteria they have laid out. So around if the earth loses 75% of its of its people, or not people, I should say, the species, then they are called as the sixth mass extinction. Okay. So it is one of the most serious environmental threats to the existence of the civilizations. So for example, in which of the we have experienced the 5 mass extinctions, I don't think that is very important. We just need to know that we are in the phase of the sixth mass extinction. I think previously UPSC has asked question on the sixth mass extinction. I've just forgot to put that into it. Okay. So for example, we have read a lot of species going into the extinction, from vulnerable to endangered, from endangered to critically endangered, because of the habitat loss. We'll see the evil quartet, the fourfold issues that are facing the species. Okay. Next is Anthropocene period. What is Anthropocene? That is a great pause, and that great pause is context of the COVID-19. So because of the lockdown, species have came out in the open, which were earlier not being seen in the urban spaces, especially in the urban spaces. So it is said they are reclaiming their space. So there are considerable slowing of the modern human activities, and the because of which everything has improved in terms of the environment, and that is known as the, or that is being said as the, touted as the, I should say, as the great pause. Next is pet coke. This is an important one. So what is, firstly we need to see what the pet coke is. So pet coke is basically called the bottom of the barrel. So there, when the oil refinery process takes place, which is being finally left out the byproduct, so that is a carbonaceous solid which is being left out of the oil refinery product, it is known as the pet coke. Okay. What are the characteristics of it? Characteristics are important. So they have high grade fuel, so that is why they are used for the fuel, high calorific value, low ash content, low volatile material, but the problem is with respect to high sulfur content. So they, if the question is being asked, they can confuse you. If you have not read specifically about it, you can get it wrong. Okay, it is high sulfur content, then it must be having high ash content. No, it is not like that. Then we have the pet coke being used in 2 forms. First is the green coke. Okay, so green coke, or it is a more of a raw form. So raw form, they are being used in the electricity generation and the cement kiln. In the second form, that is being called the calcined pet coke. Sorry, this thing. So one is the green coke, and second, or the raw coke, and second is this one, CPC. Okay, and how this is being made? The processing of the green coke is finally leads to this CPC, that is calcined pet coke, which is obtained by processing of the raw pet coke by calcining a rotary kiln that removes the residual volatile hydrocarbon. So some volatile components are more removed, and that improves the quality of the pet coal. Then it finds a lot of industrial uses in the smelting aluminum, production of the titanium oxide, and other things, not very important. But because what are the reasons? That is why pet coke has been in the news, because of the, and we will see why it is in the news, because in the MC Mehta versus Union of the India case, Supreme Court has banned the pet coke for the fuel purposes. They have allowed pet cake for a specific quantity for a specific purposes. India was one of the highest importer of the pet coal for fuel purposes, but it has a lot of GHG gas. It emits a lot of GHG gas as compared to the same other carbon sources. It releases more GHG gas, giving the same amount of fuel. Then it has high sulfur content, we have read. Some of the heavy metals are also being used, also being the part of the pet coke, that is also detrimental, whether it be the ground water contamination, surface water contamination, or the problems to the human health, for example, the miners. Then in 2017, EPCA has recommended that pet coke should be strictly banned in the NCR. Why? Because in the NCR we are experiencing a lot of air pollution. So they said at least in the NCR it should be removed. Then in the MC Mehta case, Supreme Court has banned the use of the fuel, this pet coke as fuel, right? So as you discussed before the import ban, India was the largest consumer of this pet coke, and Supreme Court has fixed the import limits of this raw pet coke at the for some, and this calcinite pet coke at 1.4 million metric ton, million ton per annum. Okay, so just remember there is a quota now. Earlier no quota was there. We are importing a lot of things, but we are now not importing this. And recently, why it is in the news? Because Director General of the Foreign Trade has laid out a procedure for the allocation of the quota for this coke for aluminum industry and for manufacturing industry. Okay, so this much you need to remember. From the environment point of view, you need to know the properties of the pet coke, where it is being used, what are these properties, ash content, sulfur content, volatile amount content, and why it has been creating problems for the environment, because of which such decision has to be taken place. Next is game farming. So what is game farming? You must have read that in the JC Long part 2 part. So a lot of different areas are being discussed. So the game farm is a place where the game animals are being raised to stock the wildlife area for hunting, where the animals are being raised for tourism purpose, for hunting purpose, right? So these are the game farming. Okay. So the government of Botswana, an African nation, announced that it would allow the farmers in the country to keep the small game on their farms to encourage the local participation in the agro-tourism, so that these people can be invited for ecotourism or for hunting purposes like that. Okay, so this is called the game farming. Remember that. It can be part of your static syllabus also, if the geography, because it is mentioned in your JC Long part 2. Next is IFlows Mumbai. IFlows, that is a state-of-art flood warning system being developed in the Mumbai city. Okay, so what is the name? That is IFlows, and developed by the Ministry of Earth Science, has developed this system with in-house expertise and coordination with this BMC. Very controversial now, Kangana case, right? Okay. So flood warning system for Mumbai, IFlows, to be launched on June 2020. Next is I Commit initiative. I Commit, actually in the June month we have celebrated 5th June, that is in World Environment Day. I think I have released a video also, very small session on the World Environment Day. We have discussed something about biodiversity or something, very small session, not from academic perspective. So this initiative is driven by the Energy Efficiency Service Limited under the administration of the Ministry of Power. So I Commit is for the Ministry of Power and driven by the Energy Efficiency Service Limited. Okay, so I Commit initiative is basically for the energy resilient future. So for example, pushing of the renewable energy, not using these, for example, pet coke, which are causing a lot of damage to the environment, greenhouse gas emission and all, using a sustainable energy resources like that. Then Saal Bhar 60. Saal Bhar means annual, every year, or for the whole year 60 campaign. Saal Bhar is an Hindi word actually. So it's a pan-India digital campaign to push for the safe level of particulate matter. So they are saying that the particulate matter 2.5 level in the air should be limited to the 60 microgram per cubic meter, which is being set permissible limit by the CPCB. So they are saying that for the whole year, the PM 2.5 should be at 60 only. Okay, so that it does not cause a lot of health problems to the children, especially the children. So they are saying that sabke liye, saaf hawa sabke liye and all this. Because especially in the metro cities, not only in Delhi, but also many cities in the UP, Lucknow, Varanasi, we are facing these problems of the air pollution. So campaign is not by the government, remember, it's just the local activist campaigns are there. Then on 17 June, we have celebrated 2020 Desertification, the Drought Day. UNGA, United Nations General Assembly, has declared 2020 to 2020, 2010 sorry to 2020 as United Nations Decade for Deserts and the fight against the desertification. So the 3F formula, food, feed and fiber, is being the theme of it, right? So the consumption and the land should be used in a sustainable way. Next is extended producers responsibility framework. In which context this framework is being actually started? From the name itself, extended producers responsibility means those who are producing the things, it is their extended responsibility also in the waste management. Very simple idea. That idea started with the e-waste actually. With the e-waste, that idea started. Recently in 2016, we have our own plastic waste management rules. So under this plastic waste management rules, this idea of the extended producer responsibility was also extended to the plastic waste. Okay. So under this criteria, under this plastic waste management rule 2016, they have produced 3 models. First model is plastic credit model, PCM. You see from here. What is this plastic credit model? For example, you are a producer. Now you have a certain quota of the recycling you have to done. Even if you have produce a product A, but you are not able to get the product A, but the same quantity of the product you have to process, that can be product B. So that credit exchange can be done. Some other producer can get the product A. He is producing the product B. So the exchange can be done, just like the clean development mechanism or sustainable development mechanism we have discussed. The same thing like that. So credit based system, the same method that is also in the priority sector lending quotas in the economy, in the monetary policy transmission, isn't it? The same thing. Next is the producer responsibility organization, PROs. Those will be set up to take these things up for recycling. Third is fee based mechanism. That means some other party will do the waste management stuff, but these producers have to pay a certain fee for recycling as well. For the operations, to fulfill this, they have to pay certain fees. That is the idea. So it has a provision to impose a penalty on the producer if they fail to meet the targets. Gradually, they have said, gradually they have to, from 30% to 90%, they have to achieve the targets. For example, 100% or 90% of the products that they are manufacturing, 90% of the recycling they have to do. Okay, so also they say that the national voice registry has to be made to enlist all the stakeholders to improve the monitoring, and the monitoring of the entire mechanism of the EPR will be done by the CPCB. This thing you need to keep in mind. Okay, that's it. So stricter penalty for plastic management in the offering. You know, plastic becomes very important in 2016, I think 2016 or 2018. We have the World Environment Day theme, that is ban the plastic pollution. The Prime Minister has promised that after this Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, the next Jan Andolan in India will be further to eliminate the plastic use. So in that regard also it becomes important. Next, we're going to read the evolution of the emission norms. Now emission norms, you know, we have entered into the era of B6, right? We have skipped the BS5, sorry, we have skipped, and we have from BS4, we have moved to the BS6. Okay. So small timeline from 1991, some emission norms came into being for diesel and petrol car, right? In 2000, we went for this Bharat stage norms, right? So Bharat stage norms came into being. So you can see in 1991, this emission norm started. BS1 norms came in 2000, BS2 norms, then BS3 norms in 2010, then 2017 BS4 norm. Then we started witnessing the problem of the air pollution in Delhi, right? A lot of problem of the air pollution in Delhi, and then the government has decided, okay, we will skip the BS5 and we will leapfrog directly to the BS6, and that is being touted as one of the ambitious projects of the government to implement this BS6. Supreme Court also came on heavy on this. They said, okay, from April 2021, 1st April 2020, you cannot register a BS4 vehicle, and that is why a lot of vehicles were being sold before April 2021. Okay. In between of first auto fuel policy also talked about this. Bharat stage norm 4 were implemented 2017, and after 2017 they were implemented all over the place. Okay. So yes, Supreme Court has said that after April 2021-2020, no vehicle will be sold. So what are the major requirements are of the BS6? This is what you need to keep in mind. So requirement is not only for the automobile manufacturer, but also the oil marketing companies, because the automobile should be the BS6 compliant, plus the fuel that are getting into it should also be the BS6 compliant. So some changes should be there in the fuel as well. First thing. Second thing, what will be the improvements? So under the BS6, nitrogen oxide level will come down 70% in the diesel and 25% in the petrol. So the nitrogen oxide levels will improve, first of all. Secondly, the most important impact will be on the PM, particulate matter. Around 80% reduction from BS4. So in the BS4, whatever PM 2.5 was coming, PM was coming, particulate matter, 80% reduction will be there in the BS6 vehicle, from BS6 vehicles. That is a very good thing. Okay. Then if you talk about the surface traces, is also less, right? So then there is a reduction of 80%. Then diesel particulate filter plus selective catalytic reduction, these things they have to include in the vehicle. These are now mandatory. Earlier they were of choice, but now they are being mandatorily being done. Then real driving emissions. So in real time, how much emissions a vehicle is causing, that should be available to the person who is using the car or those who want to check the car against the laboratory standard. Secondly, on-board diagnostic should be made mandatory for all the vehicles, so that everyone is aware what is the exact real-time condition of the vehicle. So these are basically the requirements are being set of the BS6. What is this diesel particulate filter? From the name itself, it will filter the particulate matter. More importantly, what is this selective catalytic reduction technology? It will reduce the oxides of the nitrogen. So nitrous oxide or NOx, those things will be reduced by this selective catalytic reduction technology. Remember that this SCR, if the question comes, the question will be SCR will reduce what? Will it reduce the carbon dioxide? Will it reduce this type of questions? Will it reduce this lead, whether sulfur, or whether this will reduce this carbon monoxide, something? No, it focuses on the oxides of the nitrogen, right? Next is healthy and energy efficient buildings. So this is MAT3 program we have discussed in international relation as well. So this is the Energy Efficiency Service Limited in the partnership with the US Agency of International Development have, on the occasion of the World Environment Day, will have under the MAT3 program of the USAID has launched this healthy and energy efficient building initiative. The idea is to make the workplaces more healthier and greener. Very easy, right? So these things not very important. Remember, important is this MAT3 is important, EESL and USAID is important. Next is India's first Lycan park. Very important. So first Lycan park is being situated in the, or started in the Uttarakhand. Okay, in Uttarakhand we have a lot of Lycan diversity or presence. What is this Lycan? Lycan is said to be is like a formula. Lycan is equal to algae plus fungi. That's it. So algae plus fungi, when they live in a symbiotic relationship, it is known as the Lycan. One time I think UPS is also asked question on Lycan. Very easy question was there, right? And these lichens can be found on any surface, especially the rocks or the epiphyte. They can grow on the other plants. Okay, and so this algae, the cyanobacteria, they live with the fungi. Fungi provides, I think, the protection, and the algae provides the food. So they live in a symbiotic relationship, and that is why they are known. When they live in a symbiotic relationship, and that symbiotic relationship overall is known as the lichen. So they are also known as the jhula or the patthar ka phool, the flowers from the rock, like this you must have seen in your somewhere you must have seen. So they grow very slow. They can live up to centuries. They are also very good bioindicators. So for example, when the nitrogen, the sulfur compounds increase, they respond to it. So when they respond to it, they become a good bioindicators. If you have read about the list of the bioindicators, lichens are a very good indicators of this sulfur. Okay, so they are also known as the minerals to erode rocks in cuisines, in perfume, sunscreen cream. In Kannauj also they are being used to improve to aroma in the scents and all. Okay, so remember in Uttarakhand we are coming up with the first lichen park in the Kumayu region. Next is some of the animal species. Let us see. First is the band tail scorpion fish or Scarpionesis neglecta. So basically, it's a very rare scorpion fish found in the Tamil Nadu coast in the Gulf of Mannar. I hope you know the location of the Gulf of Mannar somewhere over here, right? So it is the first time this particular species is discovered alive in the Indian waters. It is very special because it contains some neurotoxin vehemence and it has ability to change colors. Okay, right. Which institute has found it? That is Central Marine Fisheries Institute. Not very important. In Kochi, Kerala, it is being headquartered. Not very important. Then we have the horseshoe crab. Horseshoe crab. So they are regarded as the marine fossils, marine's living fossil. Okay, because they are extant from the name itself fossil. That means they have existed since the time of the dinosaur. So they are also ecosystem engineers and the predator of the small organisms since the time of the dinosaur. So they are in the schedule 4 of the Wildlife Protection Act. Wildlife Protection Act, please prepare on your own end. Very important act. What are the different schedules? Don't have to remember all the species which are in the schedule, but you know to know what particular schedule stands for. Okay, so what is in the news actually? IUCN has decided to observe the first ever International Horseshoe Crab Day on the 20th June, and in India, Odisha is their largest habitat. So just remember that. Okay. Sometimes these weird questions are being asked in UPSC. Actually, no one expects the other to solve these questions. But if we can answer that, then obviously because of the competition, we have to cover a lot of horizontal coverage. Then the Pollinators Week. So Pollinator Week is being celebrated from 22nd June to 28th June. Pollination, very important process for our food security. You must have read because of the death of many bees and the butterflies, the problem of the pollination is happening, and that can cause the problem of the food security going forward. Okay, so in India, white honey bees of the JNAPs, including the Asian bees, have declined steadily over the 30 years, and that is one of the problems being faced with respect to the biodiversity and the linkage it has with the food security. The last one, that is Gynodromorphism. So what is this? So it's basically a phenomenon. It's a rare biological phenomenon where when the individual have both male and female tissues and viewed by the scientific community as a gender aberration. This is being observed in the bird, crustaceans and the butterflies. Why they are in the news? Because they are being observed in the dragonfly, and it happened in the coal wetland in the Kerala. Please see the location of the coal wetland in the Kerala. In Kerala, we have a lot of Ramsar sites as well, but coal wetland is not a Ramsar site. So remember according to it. So that's the end of the session, everyone. Let us quickly see the questions. The first question is, which of the following may get increased due to biochar? Due to biochar. Biochar is very important because biofuels are very important and biochar is similar related to it. So the question is, which of the following may get increased due to biochar? Answer the question is may get. Soil fertility of the acidic soil, agriculture productivity and soil's water holding capacity. Biochar we have discussed also previously. Right. So please pause the video and try to answer the question. So all the options are right because the biochar is basically what? Biochar is a charcoal. Basically it is called the lakdi ka koila, right? The coal from the wood. So they are very good source for carbon sequestration because they absorb a lot of carbon, right? So biochar is made from the biomass via pyrolysis in a oxygen limited environment. So they have the property of increasing the soil fertility of the acidic soil, agricultural productivity, protection against some soil borne diseases, soil holding capacity. Now I know this question is very, you can see it's an abstract, but UPSC has previously asked question on these lines. So you need to prepare some on these lines as well. Biochar is very important for UPSC. So answer is all of them. Next question is, in the context of the biodiversity, the evil quartet refers to the set of four. What is this set of four? So whether the events of the mass extinction, major country that have witnessed the maximum biodiversity loss, that means evil quartet means four countries which have experienced the biodiversity loss, the types of the industry which emit the maximum GHGs, and the main cause of the biodiversity loss. So what is this evil quartet is? So the answer is, pause the video and try to answer this. So the answer is, evil quartet is basically the four reasons which are being described as the major causes of the biodiversity loss. Okay. So for example, habitat loss and fragmentation. So for example, they give the example of tropical rainforest. At a time, they were some years ago, they were 14% of the land mass. Currently, they have only 6% of the land mass. So this much has decreased. Habitat loss has taken place. Overexploitation because of the human greed. Over harvesting, for example, they give example of the marine population. Overfishing of these. A lot of problems we are witnessing with respect to the fishing population, and that will cause a lot of damage to the livelihoods of the people. Then the coexistence means dependence of one species on the other. For example, one species if it goes down, it leads to the problem to the other associated species. So that is the problem of the coexistence. Then we have the invasive alien species. So when we discuss about the invasive alien species, how they are causing a lot of problems to the indigenous species, right? So these are the evil quartet that is being described as the cause of the biodiversity loss. So answer is the major causes of the biodiversity loss. Next is, Himalaya is divided longitudinally into some divisions from west to east. It's a basically basic geography question, right? So in this regard, Kumayu Himalaya lies between. So try to answer this question, very basic and very easy question of geography. Please pause the video and try to answer this question. Right. So you just need to know the map. So for example, this map you just need to remember. So starting with the Indus, Satluj, draw these rivers, Indus, Satluj, Kali, Teesta and Brahmaputra, and in between just name the Himalaya. So between Satluj and Kali we have Kumayu Himalaya. So the Kashmir Himalaya between Indus and Satluj. Then we have between the Satluj and Kali we have the Kumayu Himalaya. Between Kali and Teesta we have the Nepali Himalaya. Between Teesta and Brahmaputra we have the Assam Himalaya. So four division, and they are called the latitudinal division because these are the latitudes, right? Sorry, longitudinal division. I'm really sorry. These are called the longitudinal division because these are the longitudes. These are not latitudes. Okay. So in that also regard, we can divide this Himalaya. I've written the content. You can also see it from here. Okay. So these are the four stretch, and just need to remember the rivers. So answer is Satluj and Kali river. Next question is, arrange the following dams, a location based question, in the direction from west to east. So you have to arrange it from west to east, these dams. Indra Sagar Dam, Maithan Dam, Sardar Sarovar Dam, Rihan Dam. So you have to arrange it from west to east. Pause the video, draw the map, try to find out the correct combination and see whether your answer is right or wrong. Okay, so let us see the map actually. So we have Sardar Sarovar Dam in the Gujarat. Then the same river goes, and we have on the same river we have Indra Sagar Dam in the MP over the Narmada. Then we have Rihand Dam in the UP, and then we have a Maithan Dam here in the Jharkhand. So a lot of good maps are good dams we have seen in the south also. So also remember those also. But theek hai, let's if you have not read about those things, don't worry. At least remember the things that we are discussing, right? So that you don't get them wrong in your UPSC exam this time around. So the answer is, first we'll have the, just one second, the westernmost side. Let us draw a map. So the westernmost side we have seen Sardar Sarovar Dam, so number 3. Then we have the Indra Sagar Dam in the MP, that is 1. Then we have the Rihan Dam, that is number 4. Then we have the Maithan Dam, that is number 2. So answer will be 3, 1, 4, 2. So answer will be D. So next question is, which of the following is Asia's largest freshwater oxbow lake? Oxbow lake in India, in Asia. Asia's largest freshwater oxbow lake. Dal Lake, Chandratal, Kanwar Lake and Vantha Lake. Which is the answer? What's the answer? So the answer is Kanwar Lake. So Kanwar Lake or Kabar Lake, it is the Asia's largest freshwater oxbow lake. Oxbow lake, so I think you remember, these are the running water, landforms of the running water, right? Or that is that is called depositional landforms, right? Okay, and it is situated in the Begusarai district, from where the Kanhaiya Kumar fought the election, very famous. So answer is Kanwar Lake. So that's the end of the session, everyone. Let us quickly see what we have discussed today and let us finish the question. So we started with a discussion on the sixth mass extinction. Then we talked about the Anthropocene period or the Great Pause. Then we discussed the pet coke, the two types of pet coke, its properties of the pet coke, and the recent judgment of the Supreme Court on the pet coke, NC Mehta case. Then we have the game farming in the context of the Botswana. Remember, it happens majorly in the African countries. Okay, so it is called game farming. Then IFlows, that is in the BMC plus MO Ministry of Earth Science have come up with this IFlows so as to get the early flood warning system. Then I Commit initiative, that is energy resilient India going forward. Then Saal Bhar 60 campaign, that is PM 2.5 level to be maintained below 60 microgram per meter cube, that is being advised by the your CPCB, or the guidelines being set up by CPCB. Then 2020 desertification in the dot Dre. Then EPR we have read, extended producer responsibility. Then evolution of this emission norms, especially the PM things at this selective catalytic reduction. These things you need to keep in mind. Then healthy and efficient building, India's first Lycan park. Then this species, that is Scorpiosis neglecta. Then horseshoe crab, we have seen a marine fossil, living fossil it is being called. Then pollinator weeks, and then Gynodromorphism. Sorry. Then 5 questions we have seen. First one related to this biochar, second evil quartet, third is this Himalaya longitudinal division, fourth one is the dams being arranged, fifth one is an oxbow lake, that is Kanwar Lake. Right. So with this we finish the June month environment and ecology, and we'll come up with the July month next. I think the IR July month will be uploaded alongside with it, second part. Okay, then keep revising, everyone. Just see 1 to 2 video daily or the PDF daily, and that's it. Keep it alongside your main static preparation or the static revision. Okay, bye bye everyone. See you in the next class.